Rollins for today's WWE is just plastered together with ROH. We were in ROH.
Yeah,
like,
pretty much.
That's it, okay?
That's all you need.
CM Punk walks into the building with what looks to be a very expensive item coming to WWE shop with his new hoodie and shakes hands with Jey Uso and Sami Zayn before walking out into the arena. And
reluctantly, or at least like not as friendly with Sami as he was with Jey. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, which would make a ton of sense later on, as Detective Sami would be on the case.
Yeah, I mean, I do think like they are perhaps playing to some of the known history between Sami and KO with CM Punk. You know, as like for people who might have watched some of these online exclusives, like they did a reaction video to like the War Games babyface team from last year reacting to CM Punk's appearance, and even in something like that, you had Sami describe his feeling of seeing CM Punk back and how he didn't know how he felt about it necessarily because there was some ice between the two of them, stemming from, I guess, like, you know, including Kevin Owens and some things that might have been said publicly. So whether or not that was in character at that point, I mean, whatever. But they're using it to, I think, some of this storyline here.
Punk knows where he is going this time, unlike when he spoke to the people after Hell in a Cell. Said, I handled my business with Drew and then handled some personal business on behalf of my friend Paul Heyman. So in regards to where he is going, he gets onto the turnbuckle and points, but there is no sign. He says, everyone told me that there was nothing there, and there are many roads to get there, and now I've got a favor in my pocket. Yes, he has got the idol, and he is telling everyone about it. He doesn't know when he's going to use the idol, but he's got it. Very, very brazen move to inform all of the other contestants that you have this favor.
So we were wondering what the favor from Paul Heyman was, and clearly it's something to do with a WrestleMania match. Now, with CM Punk, again, I think they're playing to some known history with CM Punk's backstory here. We know from the Cole Cabana podcast how much it means to this guy to someday main event WrestleMania. How much it bothers him that he never main evented a WrestleMania.
They should license that clip from the podcast to use. It would be great for the story leading into WrestleMania.
I wonder who owns it. I mean, I guess Colt would still own it right now. Yeah, probably not happening. But like it's part of his known story, you know, his known history, like the grudge he holds for never having main evented a WrestleMania. So I think that backstory is the only time I could accept personally CM Punk pointing towards the WrestleMania sign when he's just, you know, talking about something like that. It's also fascinating how he mentioned that there are multiple roads to get to WrestleMania, be it the Rumble or the Elimination Chamber, and he said those lead to dead ends. Is that right, John? Did I get my notes right?
Yes.
Yeah, he said those lead to dead ends, which is fascinating. But it's true. Just because you win the Rumble or the Chamber doesn't mean you're going to main event WrestleMania. You know, like who won the Chamber last year?
Oh, jeez. Don't put me on
whatever. Like, they didn't main event WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes main evented WrestleMania. The Rock and Seth Rollins and Cody and Roman Reigns main evented the night prior. So, I don't know if this was Punk, like, maybe alluding to the fact that, like, I could win those things, but that doesn't guarantee me a main event slot at WrestleMania. Whatever I got going on with Paul Heyman would. So, what could that be?
That's right. Drew McIntyre won the men's one, and Becky Lynch won the women's one. So Drew did get his title match, and it did not main event WrestleMania.
It did not, no.
So, so I guess does Paul Heyman control the match order?
I don't think so.
He might have got the favor from the wrong person.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder. I mean, clearly they already have something planned. They might even have. They probably have Punk's WrestleMania opponent planned already. Whether or not he actually makes it to the main event, I mean, is almost irrelevant. This is just the story they're trying to tell, right?
By the way, I thought a very funny tweet today was Kevin Owens was quote tweeting some fan who believed that Kevin Owens was left off of Survivor Series because of the reaction he would get in Canada. and Owens was pumping up this
Probably
theory.
true.
So he tagged like Triple H, Jimmy Fallon. He was tweeting all these like executives in WWE, including Nick Khan, who is not on Twitter to the best of my knowledge. So he tagged the strategic director at East Suffolk Council, who has not tweeted in months, but I did find it entertaining that this man was tagged in Kevin Owens' tweets.
I'm so sorry for his replies.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
He probably
It looks
meant
like
to
this
do
guy
it.
gave up on Twitter a long time ago, which some of us are finally catching up to as the trend. But getting back to this promo, because it was a lengthy one, he is interrupted by Seth Rollins. And Punk shows his disdain, turning his back as Rollins enters the ring. And I could not get over the way this was shot, because Punk is backed into the corner with a cameraman literally over this man's shoulder. And I just could have imagined sitting in this crowd. It must have looked so awkward, but they really wanted this intense feel with the camera right hovering on Punk's shoulder as
His back's
he stared
still in
at
the
Seth
hole.
Rollins cutting him down in his
I can't
promo
imagine
from
what they're
across the
thinking.
ring. The crowd is singing, they're chanting. I mean, this is a lot of buzz here from the, having two big stars in the ring together. Rollins wishes that he knocked Punk's ass out the day he returned to WWE. A lot has gotten in our way. You were hurt. I've been out. And says, I was this close after Hell in a Cell, but I took pity on you, and that was a mistake. Watching you victorious alongside Roman Reigns, it's time to rectify that mistake, because now the only thing between us is air and hatred, and tonight I'm going to knock you on your ass. Punk says, I put personal stuff aside. 6 months ago, you were the champion. Now, you've got nothing, and therefore I have no use for you anymore. He says, I know where I'm going and what my future is, and kid, you ain't it. Rollins says, you've been thinking about me for 6 months. I don't think about you at all. I've got things to do in this business, so stay out of my business. And with that, Seth Rollins comes through on his promise, knocking the man on his ass, shoving him down, and we get a big brawl. And forget the crack staff security. The ultimate security is Sami Zayn and Jey Uso, who are on the scene in seconds, okay? They could have lapped the regular security team that are hired to stop this kind of stuff, because they were a good 60 seconds away. So they separate them. Rollins tells them all to go back and run off to Roman, and Zayn takes issue. Not that he spoke to Punk like that, but you don't speak to Jey Uso like that. And he asks Zayn, yeah, well, he's Roman's family. I can understand that, but what's your excuse? You're not family. And Rollins tries to explain that him and Sami are family because they came up in this business together. These two blood brothers. The Zayn and Rollins alliance that we have seen beaten over our head for the last decade that these two men have been on the main roster together.
There's a little bit of retconning, or at least like exposition here to give to the audience to catch us up on what might have occurred off screen. But I mean, there's a lot about these wrestlers' relationships we might not know, John.
How many gaps in storylines for today's WWE is just plastered together with ROH? We were in ROH.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's it. Okay,
that's all you need.
That's fine. So this was really good though, because Zayn says that he's accused of stabbing Rollins in the back. Zayn explains, I didn't want to team with CM Punk. I wanted to team with you, but you're too stubborn. Rollins wouldn't help Reigns, and he explains, because I don't want that monster to regain his power. Well, Zayn says, Rollins, you created that monster when you attacked him with a chair to the back. The worst chair shot that even a decade later we are still feeling the effects of. Rollins points out, well, Sami, you did the exact same thing to him. They've all sacrificed to take down the bloodline. Roman has never changed. He's never even apologized. Punk hasn't changed. And Sami, you're just gullible and you're being stupid. So Zayn challenges him to a match tonight, and Rollins accepts. And this was the first 25 minutes of Raw. commercial free. It's probably going to do an incredible quarter.
I thought it was excellent. This is the type of like male soap opera shit I love, and I'm not ashamed of saying it. I think the genius of the Bloodline story has been how much it's been able to affect and create new stories out of the rest of the roster, even when the Bloodline are not present. Drew McIntyre, you know, a character born entirely out of the Bloodline. Kevin Owens' current character, born entirely out of the Bloodline. Now we get this lovely interplay between Seth Rollins and basically anybody that's around his orbit. You know, by spending time in the previous weeks reminding us of how much Seth Rollins hates Roman Reigns, they've given us enough justification for him to hate CM Punk even more for joining the team, but now having beef with Sami for also joining the team. And I thought Sami and Rollins did such a great job here of first of all, maybe in a short amount of time, establishing the depth of their relationship with each other, okay? Coming up through the indies, being family through their bonds in, I don't know, the Markham Civic Center and Ted Reeve Arena and all these places they wrestled in. Not really exposed to us prior to this, but it's okay. Like, it's enough for me to buy. And then I think what I absolutely loved the most was the excellent points and counterpoints that they had with each other, referencing parts of each other's history. You know, the type of like canonical reference that really rewards a long-term audience, right? Pointing out the irony of Seth Rollins creating something he now hates so much, and the excellent counterpoint from Rollins saying, "You did the same thing in the scene that they scripted to mirror the one that I did." So, like, it tells me that like this writing staff that they currently have are people who have good knowledge of their own history. Hopefully, grew up as fans of at least this current generation, and it really does like tell you that they seem to understand the long-term motivations of all of these characters.
Yeah, I was waiting for Sami Zayn to ask Seth about that mini Shield reunion in 2019 before Ambrose left the company.
But that was before the Tribal Chief.
So the issue is not Roman Reigns himself. It's the Tribal Chief version of Roman Reigns.
Well, yeah, all the bad that they've done. If you like this video, consider joining my